I'm about to do a draft where I'm going to let someone else draft my first 5 picks, and I will not intervene until the 6th round. Who would I trust with such great responsibility? Well, you guys, underdog drafters, Mr. ADP, aka average draft position. For my first 5 picks, I'm going to auto draft the top available player by ADP, regardless of position, regardless of team needs, as if I forgot I registered for the draft and didn't notice until the 6th round. Could I end up with 2 quarterbacks? Yes. Could I end up with 4 straight running backs? God forbid. But I'm confident I can salvage any start thanks to the wisdom of the crowds. It's time to let God take the wheel. All right, so you might be wondering, why am I doing this? And the first reason is it's fun. It's another draft challenge. It's something to kind of mix up how we approach a draft instead of just doing the same things over and over, especially as we start to enter this period where there is an ADP lull. There's not a ton of news that is shaking up the draft board, and it's easy to fall on the same crutches, doing the same things over and over again. So I do like mixing it up, but I actually think the value hounding, and I did put on my value hound tank top here for this exercise, that value hounding in the first 5 rounds is a really underrated thing, in that I've noticed since the schedule, people like going out of their way to force correlation. We use the example of taking Sam Laporta at the 2-3 turn because you had CMC in our correlation video. And I think that's getting too fancy. It is forcing things that aren't the best value or perhaps the best route you can take in a draft. I'm in favor of correlation, but I want to do it in smart ways. And I think one of the smart ways to do that is actually let the draft come to you through those first 4 to 5 rounds. And I've done this exercise in the past, and I think it's really instructive to show that you can make so many different starts work. And even though you would like to ideally start with a specific structure, you can make different things work. This is a good way to think about letting the draft come to you and then using what the draft room gave you, which in this case is going to be ADP values for me, and then making the best possible version of that team. And before we get started and I hop in this draft, I am going to pull up the ADP board right now on Underdog. I do think it's an interesting year to do this, let God take the wheel strategy, because a lot of the first few rounds, it's hard to envision it going wrong, right? There's a clear top 12 in ADP. This first round is locked and loaded, and it's a clear tier. So I know I'm getting one of these players, right? And then I think round 2 all the way to the middle of round 3. For me, it's when Devontae Smith comes off the board here, Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore, Diggs. This is a really flat tier of 15 to 16 players for me. I really think the only way this experiment completely gets off the rails is if I have a 112, maybe a 111, and I do end up with 2 of these quarterbacks. Maybe I end up getting one here, another one maybe falls to me in the late 5th. I could see things getting a little dicey here. I'm most likely to end up with a couple of wide receivers through 3 rounds, just because that's how the ADP board shakes out. I mean, you can see here how if you just autoed from a few spots based on ADP, you would end up with a lot of 0 RB builds and a lot of anchor RB builds. I mean, just look at from the 5 spot here. You'd go Jefferson, Debo, Neighbors, Trey McBride, Keenan Allen. 0 RB start. How about from the 6? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Lamar Jackson, Terry McLaurin, 0 RB build. And then most of these other builds, you got, some anchor RB builds as well from the 10 hole. AJ Brown, anchor JT, Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed. So just the way the draft board lines up, you will naturally get a decent amount of 0 RB and anchor RB. So it's not as scary as this exercise has been in years past when the quarterbacks were pushed up more, but I still think there is, a little bit of uneasiness about getting some of these structures that you don't necessarily like. And the whole point of this exercise, a whole point of a lot of these draft challenges, is that you can make almost any structure work if you approach it in a smart way. If you focus on that idea of quality or quantity, not both. If I have high quality wide receivers, well, I don't need to take a shit ton of them. I don't need 10 wide receivers when I started with 6. A lot of drafters who like to draft like us, if you're watching these strategy videos, if you watch my live streams, if you watch Ship Chasing and Legendary Upside and whatever else, we all like to draft in a similar fashion. I think it's fun to sometimes throw a curveball at your draft and then draft the best possible version of that team that someone else wouldn't take. I'm constantly with these challenges trying to push myself into various nooks and crannies of the draft board and seeing, can I make the best possible version of a team that makes me slightly uncomfortable, that maybe other drafters like me aren't willing to take on. And I think that's where you can get some really unique builds. Without further ado, I am going to hop in a draft. Normally I do Best Ball Mania for these, but today we have a special treat. Underdog dropped the Greyhound. By the time this video goes live, I'm guessing the Greyhound will be filled, but it is a $35 single entry tournament, 6,360 entrants total. And it's a smaller structure as well. So it's 2 of 12 advance out of round 1, which is similar to most of these tournaments. Then it's 1 out of 5 in week 15, 1 out of 4 in week 16, and then a 53-seat final. That's going to be good because I should theoretically start with a wide receiver unless someone goes rogue here with Christian McCaffrey. And I need to make sure this is sorted by ADP, because that is what we're going to be working with here. Because of these really small pod groups, I'm not going to be worrying about any week 15, week 16 stacking whatsoever. You're in a 4-person pod in week 16. I do think in a 53-seat final, it's worth saying, hey, how do I get one of these top 4 spots? 10,000 to 4th, 15K to 3rd, 20,000 to 2nd, 30,000. I do want some light stacking, but I am not going to be thinking about bringbacks near as much. And I do think this is a fun contest to do the God take the wheel strategy, because I do just want to build the best possible team, and then we can take care of some of the more team stacking elements as we move throughout the draft. So here we go. My hands are off the wheel. CMC does go 101. So I am going to get a wide receiver with this first pick, which honestly feels like a relief. The thing I'm most worried about in this challenge is ending up with too many running backs early or too many quarterbacks early. I'm pretty confident I can make almost anything else work. And knowing that I'm going to get a wide receiver here is very helpful. And normally I would like to keep these drafts moving along, but I just want to prove to people my hands aren't touching anything. I feel like there could be some controversy if they see me reaching for the mouse to make this click. It looks like, based on ADP at 3.2, after CeeDee Lamb went, I will be starting this team with Tyreek Hill. That is who the computer is going to take for me. No hands. I'm not making this pick. Someone else is making this pick. ADP is making this pick. Here we go. To confirm, Tyreek Hill, come on down to this squad. Normally, I am someone who drafts very fast, so I hope whatever, karmic blowback I'm taking on by bleeding the clock for dramatic purposes here will not be held against me going forward. Now we can start to, I'll share the board here. This is the Underdog ADP on Fantasy Life. I highly recommend checking it out because we have this ADP grid here, which can allow you to kind of just visualize more the ADP as opposed to seeing it in the typical kind of column format. The easiest thing for this challenge for me is, again, to get another wide receiver. It just gives me more flexibility in rounds 3, 4, 5. Like, that's where I think kind of the chaos could happen here. So I would love if I were able to get a Mike Evans, a Nico Collins, a Jalen Waddle. So I guess the worst case scenario for this turn is that I do end up with both Kyron and HN. But again, I can live with that. It just means I limit my flexibility with other falling knives that might not work as well structurally. This is already an interesting thing that's happened here. Jahmyr Gibbs, drafter at 112, took Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, ADP of 31, and he went at pick 13. Let's see here. We have 3 picks here. Debo, Nico Collins. Okay, so I am going to end up with, holy cow, HN and Jalen Waddle have the same ADP. Please take, wow, they go Barkley. I thought I was going to get the HN tiebreaker. I did not consider this when I did this challenge, that it was HN at 24.8, Jalen Waddle at 24.8. Would I have been able to overrule it? No. I said my hands weren't touching anything. I really would have liked to, of a technicality, been like, yeah, let me just grab Jalen Waddle here. I like HN, but he routinely falls into the 3rd. So we are going to get Nico Collins here autoed to us. And now we are going to sweat and see what comes to us in the 3rd. I actually don't mind if I get HN here. I also would be completely content with Waddle or Diggs. I actually love any of these 3 picks I'm getting. Regardless of who I get, it's going to be correlated with Tyreek or Nico Collins. It's either going to be HN or Waddle or Stephon Diggs. So let's see what this drafter does here. I'm going to end up with HN or Waddle because DJ Moore goes. Not touching anything. They go dig. So I'm going to get HN here at 3-3. Certainly okay with that. No quarterbacks, no tight ends. That was, I think, the diciest part. And then we'll see how it goes on the 4-5 turn. Again, for the people at home, going to show my hands here as the clock bleeds down. And there it is. Devon Achane. The people have spoken. You, the people, the drafters on Underdog Fantasy, who draft in these contests day after day and formulate the sample sizes that result in average draft position. Cheers to you guys for making these picks. See, this is where it gets a little dicey. All I want to avoid is 2 quarterbacks, specifically one who's unstacked. Okay, so I'm guaranteed Higgins, Lamar, or McBride. I kind of don't want Lamar just because I don't want to risk getting 2 quarterbacks, even though I think Lamar is a nice value here. Lamar does go. This is perfect. I'm getting T. Higgins or Trey McBride. Come on, God. I gave you the wheel. I'll take either of these guys. Honestly, probably Higgins just for max flexibility. Okay, Higgins goes. So I said I was going to let God take the wheel, and now God is drafting the team I would have drafted on my own. All right, I'm going to let it click down. I need to continue to prove to you guys that I'm not intervening here. 6, 5, 4. Trey McBride, come on down. One of my favorite clicks here, getting exposure when even God takes the wheel. Isn't that what they say? If you love something, let it go. And if it's truly meant to be, it'll come back to you. I love Trey McBride. Okay, so this is now actually the sweat. Man, I would really prefer not to have double elite tight end. Honestly, what I think I'm rooting for at this point is Pacheco. It's either Pacheco, Kincaid, or Andrews. I'm fine being done at tight end. I guess this isn't the end of the world with any of these selections, but I prefer not to go double elite tight end. Okay, Kincaid goes. I think Pacheco is my preferred pick to fall here. Patrick Mahomes unstacked here doesn't feel fun because Marquise Brown's not going to fall. Xavier Worthy's not going to fall. I probably have to take Rashee Rice. They took Pacheco. Okay. Am I going to end up with... So I'm going to end up with Patrick Mahomes or Mark Andrews. See, this experiment was going so well. And then I got cocky. Will Slaughter Island take Mahomes or will they go Andrews? I mean, someone who started 4 straight wide receivers feels like they're going to go Andrews, right? Oh, they go CJ Stroud. Wow. All right. Patrick Mahomes, come on down. Don't love it. If I were to, regularly do the unstacked thing, I would probably prefer to have like Anthony Richardson. But we're going to make this work. I'm finally going to get to take over this draft board again after the computer makes this selection. Here it is. All right, here's the team. God took the wheel. He first selected me, Tyreek Hill, right at ADP at 3. Coming back in the second round, I got Nico Collins right at ADP 22. Then in the third round, Devon Achane slid a couple spots to me. Then in the fourth round, Trey McBride slid just a couple slots to me. And then Patrick Mahomes slid to me a couple slots. And like I said with this experiment, this God take the wheel, quarterbacks are really the only part where it gets a little dicey. Because taking an unstacked Patrick Mahomes doesn't make sense. I think if I had control of this draft board here, I'm probably just going to take Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, get another wide receiver here. But because I know Tyreek Hill is available with Tua later, because I know I could get Kyler Murray later, I'm just probably not taking unstacked Patrick Mahomes. But this is the challenge. This is the whole thing. Patrick Mahomes, slight value here. Can we make it work? I will go ahead and just put Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice in the queue. Rashee Rice is an interesting one because he has been falling a lot, but based on my ADP, it pushes me into a range where I probably have to take Rashee Rice ahead of ADP. I am now going down a path that is going to be very unique for my builds. I am not going to have a lot of Patrick Mahomes without one of Kelsey, Worthy, or Marquise Brown. Specifically Kelsey or Worthy. So I'm already going to get something in my portfolio that I wouldn't otherwise have. Okay, so I am on the clock here, and I have been taking Jordan Addison ahead of Rome Odunze, and I think I am going to continue to do that here. Again, knowing I'm about to click Rashee Rice at pick 75, and I'm probably not going to have production from him. I want to get as many early season bets on the table as I can. Like, I don't want to get off to a slow start in this format. It'd be funny if I got sniped on Rashee Rice here. Is this guy autoing? There's no way he's autoing because he just took Christian Watson ahead of ADP, but he has been bleeding down the clock. Maybe he's letting God take the wheel on his own rankings. The Rashee Rice reach here doesn't feel like a huge deal, so I am about to pick. When I look at these other wide receivers around here, it's Brian Thomas, it's JSN, it's Hopkins, it's Deontay Johnson. But on a Patrick Mahomes team, this being really the last viable stacking candidate with Mahomes, I think this pushes him up into this range. This is also a time box contest, right? This Greyhound contest is going to fill within a couple of days, so I don't have to worry about Rashee Rice's ADP moving a ton. End up just selecting him 7 picks ahead of ADP, and when I factor in the correlation boost with Mahomes, I think it's perfectly fine. That to me was kind of the one main wrinkle to make this Patrick Mahomes team work. I do think this is another reason why I don't want to reach for specific things early in the draft season, because I can get uniqueness letting boards fall to me. And then on top of that, you're going to get natural diversification to the draft boards by drafting throughout the summer. Obviously, I'm in a time box contest right now, but say you were doing this in Best Ball Mania and really letting rooms come to you. I mean, the ADPs, even in the first 5 rounds, are going to be pretty different come August. Different things are going to shake it up, whether it's just casual drafters' preferences, whether it's news, whether it's injuries, whether it's hype, it's steam. Doing this strategy, you will always get unique builds because the ADP is shifting while also getting ADP value. And we know that ADP value is really important. It was one of the things that I talked about in our Best Ball Mania series, both as it pertains to correlation. Mike Leone's manifesto showed how important it is to get ADP value, and that the top teams got the most ADP value, and inversely, the worst teams were reaching the most, those top 10 percentile buckets on either end. And we've also looked at the draft capital curves. That was something in the Scroll the F Down video we talked about. Sacrilegious sent me a chart showing that the difference in like a faller from round 1 to 2 is worth more than 5 to 6 rounds in the later rounds. That's how valuable those early picks are. So I don't think there's anything I need to do here at quarterback. Dak, Love, Caleb Williams, I have nothing there. Nothing I need to do with tight end yet. With Trey, I think this is a Cortland Sutton. Yeah, I'm gonna do Cortland Sutton here. To me, he's kind of, I guess I like Tyler Lockett a good bit, but I do like Cortland Sutton as my 5, and then I'll kind of see which running back comes back to me. I could also take my guy Brock Bowers, who Sean is getting me hyped on. We took him at pick 87 in our draft today. Maybe I just take Brock at 99, figure out running back, go extreme anchor RB with Achane. I might do it. All right, I'm going to put Brock Bowers in the queue. I do think you could handcuff this backfield, but I think if I want to handcuff it, I'll do it with Jalen Wright. I'm going to do Brock Bowers. I'm going to do it. How many Trey McBride and Brock Bowers teams do we think will be in the Greyhound? I mean, once you get in this range, basically the 110 to 140 range, there's so many running backs I like. Brian Robinson or Singletary are really nice picks for this team just because I'm thinner at running back. And I want to get out to a fast start. Just make it to that week 15 pod where I only need to beat 5 other teams. But again, I will happily select Chase Brown if push comes to shove. But yeah, we'll grab Devin Singletary here as an ADP faller. A good running back too here for me at pick 118. This is a really kind of dead area for wide receivers. There's AD Mitchell, who's overpriced, and then we jump all the way down to, I guess there's Jacoby, Brandon Cooks, Dotson, Gabe Davis. Ugh, just a pretty gross tier of wide receivers. I think Gus fits well with this team. Gus does go, so, well, Here we go. This is the challenge, to let ADP send me down a different path. And I end up selecting Chase Brown again, who falls past ADP. Overloading on rookies in this format is not near as powerful as it is in, say, Best Ball Mania, where you really are trying to get that team to peak at the perfect time. You're essentially trying to sneak in as many like bad underperforming teams to the playoffs as possible. Here, I really do think it's different, because this is 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 4. And then a 53-seat final. So I'm sure I will end up with some more rookies on this team. So far I just have Brock Bowers, but I want to make sure I'm getting production. I want to make sure I'm in the mix to advance this team. And now we are back on the clock. And I do think this is a really good, decision for that. I do think a lot of times I like taking Charbonnet over Rico. But in this case, I think getting some more early season production from my running back makes sense. So I'm going to take Rico, and now I kind of have 2 guys I think should have an early season role: Devin Singletary, Rico Dowdle, and then I have my 2 kind of hopefully efficiency big play merchants in Devon Achane and Chase Brown. Zach Charbonnet is a very nice value here. I assume Slaughter Island's going to take Charbonnet. Yeah. So that makes it kind of easy for me. Yeah, I'm going to do Jalen Wright. This is, again, one of those structures where I just want to be big on a couple of offenses. And we're going to stack up the Dolphins without Tua. Now we have Devon Achane, Devin Singletary, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, and Jalen Wright. I don't mind these running backs. I mean, Ray Davis, Bucky. I mean, Jaleel does get me another Bronco. I don't think it's bad to go a 6th wide receiver here. Looks like I'm going to get one of Polk or Franklin. I mean, in a perfect world, I get Polk, 17 picks past ADP. No, he doesn't. So Polk goes. I still get Franklin at a value, which is fine because it builds out my correlation bet. I would have loved the value on Polk, but we do get 2 Denver wide receivers here, and I could go Jaleel as well. I think this is one of those spots where I let the correlation drive it. I'm going to do Jaleel. I like the idea in this format where it's such smaller pods. I just want to make some massive team level bets. I kind of like Zay along with Trey McBride. So we get another stack without the quarterback. We're for sure doing at least 1 more wide receiver. So let's grab Zay first. All right. Yeah, it looks like we'll get JJ here. Let's grab JJ. A guy I keep thinking is going to rise, but has not yet. This has been a Value Hounds draft. I should mention, by the way, we do have the whole merch. If you guys haven't seen it, over on the Overzet.my Shopify store. We got the Hot Best Ball Summer collection. You can get these Value Hound tanks that I'm wearing right here. I'll drop a link in this video. Been adding a few ship chasing ones too. We got the That's Fair pocket tees, the official motto and slogan of ADP chasing, as well as the That's Fair tank top, if you want to show off the guns there too. In this structure where I want to be just slightly more robust. This is a just get there kind of tournament. This is get to week 17, have some stacks, have some upside, but don't blow it. Don't drop the baby, as some people have been saying. And I think spending this extra pick at quarterback to make sure. And also, man, I am such a fish. I spent all this time hemming and hawing. You guys are probably screaming to yourself at home. Peter, both of your quarterbacks have the same bye week. So Bo Nix covers my week 6 bye, which that would have been really devastating in this format to take a 0 in week 6. I am a newly minted bye week bro. And I apologize to everyone who is screaming at their computers at home. Peter, you have a week 6 bye. You have to get another quarterback. You are absolutely correct. Let's quickly review this team here to see how we ended up. We, of course, let God take the wheel for the first 5 picks. I did not make these. They were just the best available player by ADP. Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Devon Achane, Trey McBride, and Patrick Mahomes. We then go Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice to stack it up. Cortland Sutton, Brock Bowers, Devin Singletary, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Wright, Troy Franklin, Jaleel McLaughlin, Zay Jones, JJ McCarthy, and Bo Nix. I've talked through a lot of the kind of biggest decision points. Really, the only thing that threw me with the Mahomes auto pick was just needing to reach for Rashee Rice. I really needed that stack there. I was hemming and hawing about the quarterback situation, but with the double buys there, pretty obvious decision to grab Bo Nix. Why did I settle on the first 5 picks? Because eventually, if you were to just auto draft an entire contest, 18 picks, you would end up with a pretty suboptimal structure. Obviously, you can go into Underdog, you can go into your settings, and you can set your positional limits, but you would run into issues where those positional limits get chewed up too quickly. These ADPs are efficient because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of drafters putting real money on the line in drafting these teams. And when people have money on the line, it makes the ADP really efficient. It's why the ADP on Underdog is so much more efficient than the default ADP on Yahoo or ESPN, because people go around in those mock drafts and they dick around and they don't take it seriously. And that's why you can get away with, mostly drafting off of ADP. That's why the data shows that people who stick to ADP, who scoop up ADP values, can build the most dominant teams. And for me, we're layering in all of these different elements that we talk about, the correlation, even the week 17 bringbacks, the team level bets, the ADP values. We're trying to mix all of this stuff together, but doing it without reaching, without sacrificing value, is the most powerful way to supercharge your teams and basically get the benefits of all those other levers we pull. I don't know why I did this. All those other levers we pull. We can get the most benefit out of it if we're doing it at ADP value. As far as the correlation and stack surprises and things I was trying to accomplish, I did really cater this to this specific draft format. And I do think we need to be making small tweaks to how we approach these contests, even though every other setting is the same, 18 rounds, same scoring, same starting lineup requirements. The difference in both the payout structures and the advancement structures greatly alters our strategies. I mean, we devoted an entire video to week 16 versus 17 dynamics of EV and applying, how you can influence your win rate, because the microscopic differences for that tournament mean a lot when there's that much money at play. And in this tournament, seeing that it's essentially 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 4, that really pushed me to not worrying about individual bringbacks, but trying to make as many concentrated bets as I can. Can I bet on 3 to 4 offenses? And if they're good, I can progress this team through the playoffs. And then we show up in the finals and we say, let God take the wheel again. The biggest sweat in the snipe was I just would have really have loved Jalen Polk on this team. He would have been such a smash value at pick 166. He ends up going 1 pick before me at 165. I really would have liked to have done Jalen Polk and Drake May instead of Troy Franklin and Bo Nix, because I think I get a higher upside, better stack, and then I still get the Denver stack because I would have Sutton and Jaleel. Otherwise, this team broke about how I would like it to. And thank God that I realized the bye week thing, especially after becoming a bye week bro. All in all, I think this was a strong draft. And again, something that I will come back to. I will do a couple more God take the wheel drafts at certain points throughout the year, especially in August, where the ADP gets even better, right? Because we have more information. The board is going to be different. Let's mark that down right now. We will for sure do another Let God Take the Wheel draft later in the offseason. Appreciate you guys as always. If you're new here, we do these draft challenges videos. Subscribe to the channel. I have a playlist for those. On top of that, we do strategy videos. We have videos on correlation. We have a big Best Ball Mania 5 primer to show you how to attack that contest throughout the year. All kinds of good stuff. I'm working on a tight end video right now about the importance of those in these contests. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, get access to all of these free strategy videos, and we'll see you guys next time.